My first child was born, and everything seemed to be very nice, fine, perfect, príncipe Ben. But then after the 6th month, 7th month, all of a sudden we started to realize that something is just not right. Finally, it took 2 years till we really got the diagnosis. Tay-Sachs.
Rabbi Eckstein took his personal tragedy of losing 4 children, watching them die before they were 4 years old, and he made sure that others would not have to live through such an occurrence. So many diseases and so many tears have been prevented because of his tears.
When he knows that there's a sick child out there, it impacts him personally. I went with him to the NIH, extremely impressed with what he has accomplished, and have said that his is the only successful genetic screening of a population that's taking place in the entire United States.
I've been part of the Dor Yeshorim program from its very inception, and I am absolutely amazed and gratified by what the program has been able to accomplish. Dor Yeshorim has done what no other organization in the world has been able to do, reaching a broad community throughout the world.
And the whole idea why it's such a good organization is such a good thing because it's done anonymously. In other words, when 2 people get together, we find out it's a good match or a bad match. We're not labeling this person as the carrier for such and such and that person as the carrier for such and such. It's just not a good match.
When there is the same gene mutated in mom's family and in dad's family, then you have a risk of inheriting what's termed a recessively inherited genetic disease.
So she was born completely healthy. At that point, she was smiling, giggling, interacting. She was diagnosed at around 12 or 13 months. It was awful, but we really went through stages as if someone died. I mean, you really go through the stages of grief for your child who's still with you. So you're grieving the diagnosis, but you're also pre-grieving, the child's death.
I was negligent. That's the truth. We weren't tested, and by the time we realized that we were not tested, we were already engaged. So we just figured it doesn't really happen. We had no idea how serious it was, and we were not going to break the shidduch, so we went ahead with it. And the bottom line is, it really is not necessary for anybody today to go through what we went through. The whole idea that Dor Yeshorim allows people to resolve this problem before it's at all emotional is an unbelievable kindness.
This is a terrible metabolic disorder which afflicts young children and is uniformly fatal. One hospital in Brooklyn maintained a 16-bed Tay-Sachs ward to treat people with the advanced symptoms of this terrible disease. That ward has now been closed, which I think is largely, if not entirely, due to elimination of the disease through genetic counseling in a premarital setting.
יש גם דבר חדש שעכשיו הם גילו שצריכים לעשות בדיקות גנטיות לא רק אצל האשכנזים, גם אצלנו הספרדים בשנים האחרונות, גם כן זה נהיה מצוי הבעיה הזו. לכן אני קורא מכאן, מעל במה זו, גם לספרדים, לפני שסוגרים וורט וסוגרים את השידוך, לפני כן שעשו בדיקה, שזה בדיקות גנטיות, שחס ושלום לא יהיה בעיות.
התחתנתי בגיל 18, לא עשינו בדיקות גנטיות, לא חשבנו שיש מחלות גנטיות אצלנו, את הספרדים. הכל הלך לפי המסלול, תינוק, חמוד הבית, לא לשכוח הוא היה בתחילת הדרך, הוא היה כמעט ילד רגיל. הגעתי לבית חולים, סוללה של רופאים, סטאג'רים, כולם עמדו מולי, ואמרו לי שאורל סובל ממחלה גנטית נדירה מאוד 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 קשה, ובכלל לא שמעתי על דברים כאלו, ולא הבנתי מה הם רוצים, הכל התהפך. ומשם התחיל כל הסיפור חיים שלנו.
In addition to standard screening, Dor Yeshorim assists the many families that have children affected with rare genetic diseases. Dor Yeshorim spares no cost and leaves no stone unturned, utilizing the most advanced methods of gene sequencing to painstakingly identify the genetic mutations causing the disease. Once the mutation is identified, Dor Yeshorim researches and develops reliable testing to prevent the reoccurrence of the disease in the family.
If it's a problem in one Jewish family, there's a high likelihood that it'll be a problem in another Jewish family that doesn't even know about the problem. And that's our job here at Dor Yeshorim, is to try and screen out in the community at large these devastating mutations, these devastating genetic changes, and diagnose them and test them out before it leads to misfortune.
As people are becoming more aware of genetic issues, they reach out to him more for additional testing. And then you have individuals who come, they have a disease just in their family, but they want to make sure that they're protected. It's always expanding outwards.
Until Dor Yeshorim came along, the Tsar was so incredible. This wonderful, wonderful organization has taken away so much of the pain, helped so many people to get around this issue. Without Dor Yeshorim, who knows where we'd be today.
We have 6 children. Our 2nd and 5th are affected with a genetic disorder. They cannot walk, they cannot talk. They need to be fed, they need to be cared for. The time when my daughter was in Shidduchim, the oldest girl, the oldest child, it was an absolute nightmare. People were very afraid. I could not answer them that I have a genetic diagnosis. Baruch Hashem, the week that my daughter was going to become engaged, we found the gene. The fact that they work in such a discreet way, and all a shadchan has to hear is, oh, Dor Yeshorim can check it? Oh, very good.
But I know, but another man who lost 3 kids, he has 2 healthy children, to a yet undiagnosed disease. Yet Dor Yeshorim spent a tremendous amount of time on trying to find the gene so they could put this as one more of their diseases on their list to check for.
We have a member of our family who, when their child was born, this child had a genetic disease that we had never heard of before. It's referred to as FD.
In the summer of 1999, I was approached by Rabbi Eckstein of Dor Yeshorim, who asked me if I would help him find the genetic cause of familial dysautonomia. And I went through the literature at that time, and I saw that there were some top groups that were working on familial dysautonomia and trying to figure out the genetic cause. And I called them back and I said, there's nothing that I have that the other groups do not have. So I have nothing to provide you that will not be provided by the general scientific community. In almost a year later, in the summer of 2000, he contacted me again and he said, nothing has been accomplished. More children have been born with familial dysautonomia in the population. It is tearing apart families. He'd like me to look again into the possibility of looking for the genetic basis for familial dysautonomia. And so what I said to Rabbi Eckstein is, I have a group of students that are available this summer, and I will spend this summer working to try to find the genetic cause of familial dysautonomia. And he provided me the various reagents that I needed in order to do this, and Baruch Hashem, in a 6 to 8 week period of time, we identified the mutation for familial dysautonomia. So when we found the FD mutation, I said to him, you're now adding 2 more mutations, and he says he can't raise the prices. He says he has people coming to him that they give him 10 head checks for $15 a piece because they can't afford it. He doesn't want anybody to ever not get tested because they can't afford it.
They spare no resource. They just want to get it right, help these families, help these people. As Dor Yeshorim, future healthy generations. That's their mission. And they've been doing a great job.
Expanding the tests and making sure the tests are updated and there's no new mutations or anything else to be concerned is a constant battle. The number of mutations that we're finding in the klal is growing.
To run a lab with technicians and doctors, it's a fortune of money. They can't subsist on the few $100 they get from each test. It's enormous, the cost. And our job as Klal Yisrael is to help these people. They're helping imagine there's an organization here that's helping every single family today in the Haredi Klal Yisrael. There's not a single family that hasn't been helped by them. And they should have to struggle for money. Is that fair? They're helping us. We should be out there on the front lines, giving them whatever we can to help them out.
The Pasuk tells us, Dor Yeshorim Yevayrach. That's the greatest compliment. That's what David HaMelech writes in Tehillim Kuf Yud Beis. A person who is dedicated to mitzvahs, a person who is dedicated to Hashem, his generations will be blessed. And isn't that what we want for our children? We want them to be blessed beruchnius and begashmius. And Dor Yeshorim is making sure, as much as possible, to make sure that our children will be there for us, will be zeicha to see how they have their wonderful simchas, bar mitzvahs and bas mitzvahs and weddings. And this is all facilitated by the great organization of Dor Yeshorim.